Okay, welcome. I'm Bob Dempsey, and I'm giving an update as I have for a few weeks. Last week, I tried to wrap things up and say I would sort of come back as things were important, but so many things have happened in the past week. I think it's important that we meet again to go over them. And so I want to go over things that have to do with the world, have to do with the university, have to do with this process of opening up society and our department, and how many changes have taken place in the past week, and then reflect a little bit about some tremendous tragedy of racism and violence that's affecting us all and affects us, I think, is directly in a directly related way. The first thing is that the COVID crisis is ongoing. It will be with us for some time. The process of opening up by the university is going to be so slow and deliberate that it'll be with us certainly through the summer. But if we look at what's going on in the world, we have hundreds of thousands of deaths, we have millions of cases, and we have some very hopeful news. Areas that were very hot in China and northern Italy, in South Korea have quieted down, and life is beginning to resume in normalcy there. We have areas like Dane County that never got very surged or hot, but are still having consistent cases. As a country, we are beginning to decrease the cases. That's the first time we've been able to say that. So we're trying to open up our society, but we must use the lessons learned at the hospital to be sensible. It is not so nice in Latin America. It is not so good throughout the world. In some areas of concern, such as the Congo, they are beginning now to get COVID cases on top of Ebola cases, which has reemerged, on top of 360,000 measles cases. So this is a very difficult problem for a world. And as it destabilizes the world or destabilizes economies, societies destabilize. If you think about reopening the department, we've spent the week trying to reopen the labs. There's a lot of lessons learned in that. They make sense. But we're being very strict about that. The university is taking a very strict role, and all of us work for the university. Some of us work for the VA and the hospital as well, but all of us work for the university, and that process will govern a lot of what we do. The laboratories are becoming more essential and beginning to be opened, but there's a process which makes sense, but it's quite strict. It has to do with justifying the importance of the project, justifying who will do it, how will they be protected, PPE, how will they enter the hospital or the laboratories, how will they leave it, will they work alone, if they must work near someone, why? And that has to be strictly justified. And the strict precautions, protections with PPE for that. And this goes on with, will you work across from somebody? That's not possible. In general, there'll be no more than one person per bay, and in some cases less than that because of the amount of total space. Other rules are being put in effect throughout. Only one person in a conference room, one person in a men's or ladies' room, one person at a time on an elevator going to or from the laboratories. So this is extremely strict, but this is very likely to protect people. This is an example of extreme measures to try to open up part of society. I truly believe that clinical research and offices will follow, but much more slowly. I've talked with the dean, and there is not a push to reopen the clinical face-to-face research yet. I do think it'll come this summer, just as I feel offices and students will. And that has to do with the university's desire to have students on campus in the fall. The fall is really August for them. So I think that we will see a gradual opening of clinical offices as well over the period of the next months. Those 3 stages I talked about will simply come sooner. We're going to follow campus and Dane County guidelines on this. Dane County is less strict than campus, but I know that the pressure on the university to have students and sports teams, and you can't have one without the other, means that they will be opening offices over the course of the summer. We've not received exact instructions, but I expect they'll be as severe as the labs were. So we'll probably be doing staggering of services and staggering of office work, because that will keep people safe and keep cross-contamination until this virus decreases, dies out, or is vaccinated out of existence. There is some early evidence that it is not as virulent in some parts of the world as it was before, so it may be mutating. We'll have to watch. Now, what this means is a significant change in the way we do graduations. Because it is clear to me that we will not be meeting as a large group to celebrate the academic awards, I've decided that we will, on June, I believe, 19th at 7 p.m., invite everyone to our graduation for departing residents and fellows, as well as our awards ceremony. It'll be virtual, it'll be online, and it'll be enjoyable. It allows us to say what we, how we praise people for their teaching, for the awards that we give, and people will be receiving virtual invitations to join us online for that event, an hour or 90 minutes or so on that Friday night. I think it's very important because of the work people have done. And what I'm trying to do is, as much as possible, normalize what we do and to put closure to our academic year and say these awards are to be given, these people would be congratulated, these successes we celebrate. Because if we're going to have our life go on, we need to get on with it and do our work with the safeties that virtual meetings, personal protection, and others afford us. That's very important. And that's one of the most important things I wanted to say today, is the graduation will go as we normalize it, but because it's online, we're going to be as broad in invitations as we possibly can be. The issue of furloughs has come up. That is, of course, the adjustment in expense of payroll expense, which allows us not to cause people to be laid off. These will affect staff and APPs. It will affect faculty as well. However, the only change since we last met will be that the faculty, because their work is essential, will be expected to just keep working. The furloughs will be deducted from the next 6 months' salaries, and they'll be offset by their hospital work. Travel is another important thing. It becomes clear to me that we won't be doing large meetings. We won't be doing large in-person meetings. So professional expenditure will not support travel to any meeting for the remainder of the year. That's a profound statement because there are some national meetings that have not been canceled yet. But as it stands today, the university, UW-MF, will not support that travel. So that's the answer I'm giving when people say, will I come to talk in September? I'm not allowed. I can do it online. And so therefore, this morning I prepared my international talk, which I'll give in 2 weeks on a weekend, as many of us have been doing. Now, if you wonder about travel from the university, that's an interesting thing, and I predict follow that carefully. Because just as I think our new normal will be careful regulation of small classes on campus and large campus classes as being online, travel is important for our sports teams, and I think the university wants to hold them. So there's going to be some travel through the university which will not be supported through UW-MF. This is a changing situation. But I think if you begin to watch and understand the backstory, you begin to understand why things are happening. So I'm predicting a new normal for us. It'll be a new normal for businesses. It'll be a new normal for hospitals. Be new normal for academic departments. It's driven by a desire to try to get on with life and what's important, but do it safely. And we can. We're good at it. We can do it safely. We can protect each other. We will unfortunately see a society which is not as safe, and we will see more COVID cases. It's my sincere hope it doesn't overwhelm and set things back. So we must set an example, because if we don't, only trouble will come. UW is going well, but is the rest of the United States? Well, not really, because of this layoffs, of the furloughs, of jobs being closed, of stores being closed, of people not buying things which they didn't need in the first place. Bad things happen, recessions happen, people go hungry, people begin to blame others, and rioting breaks out. We predicted it a week ago, and now we have it. A man by the name of George Floyd died tragically, and his assailant charged with murder. The results have been rioting, peaceful protests, unrest, but basically an instability of life. The nightly unrests, the concern about racism must be addressed. And I want everyone to know just exactly where I and where our department stands. And I want to say I'm so tired of the root of this, which is millennia, thousands of years of human beings trying to debase or decrease others so that they can make up for their shortcomings or that they can feel more superior. I don't care if it's bullies in the schoolroom. I don't care if it's division of people based on race, religion, gender, size, or even imagined differences. They're all wrong. They're all inadequacies. They will not be supported. We must stand together for the goodness of people. I have worked on 5 continents. I have seen people, and I understand that they are the same as us. They want the best for their families, their children. They want to be proud of what they do, and they are good people. All of us have these inadequacies. We cannot deal with them. We as doctors and as medical people and as staff that support medical people have to stand for affirming what's best. There are 2 quotes I think about so very commonly. Thomas Jefferson, talking about slavery, said, "I fear for our country because I believe that God is a righteous God and his wrath will not be forestalled forever." That's a sad quote about mankind. But there is an affirming quote from Confucius, credited to many, that the price of apathy is to be ruled by evil men. It is our job as doctors, as medical people, to affirm that we believe in the oneness of people. There is no other, and that we will care for all people, and we will value disability and their qualities, and we will affirm them, and we will encourage them. We will denounce violence of all kinds. We will denounce racism of all kinds. And this is not just race, it's gender, it's size, it's religion, it's imagined differences which are not real. So we advocate for health for all, we care for all, and that's what we're proud of. We're good at that. And at this times, we must stand together with people nonviolently. I feel strongly about that. Someone has to come out and say that. That's why we built this department. That's why it's a diverse department that we're all proud of. And I'm proud of what you do. Let us stand together for people and not against them. Thank you very much.